Can you hear me? Okay, all good. Thank you for turning up to this smaller room. I feel very privileged that there seem to be not very many seats remaining. My name's Mark. I work for a company called Media 85%. We're an ethnographic research consultancy. It's a very posh way of saying we visit people all over the country. We spend time with them. We understand their lived realities. My background is creative agency strategy. I spent 15 years in London and in Singapore working on a bunch of brands for a bunch of different agencies. But now, we travel all over the land understanding people's lived realities. So I could talk to you about today a bunch of different things because we've got lots of interesting projects on the go at the moment, very privileged in that regard. I could talk about social media and anxiety. This image is of Kerry, not her real name, no real names in this. We actually stumbled upon Kerry when we were working on a supermarket brief, and what became very quickly apparent is she lives with incredible anxiety, so much so that she finds it very difficult to leave the house, does a lot of online shopping in that regard, so it was relevant to the brief. But she's got a lot of anxiety, so much so that she can't go upstairs to see her children. She finds it very difficult. So that's her living room, the mattress that she sleeps on with her baby in the living room on the floor because of her anxiety. Could talk about that. Could talk about the flags, the marches. We've got an ongoing project at the moment where we're chatting to participants who partook in the Unite the Kingdom March or they're waving flags, and what we're finding is it's not who you think it is. So that's ongoing. We're going to be releasing content for that in the future, but we're not going to talk about that. And the cost of living. I don't know if I got an email from a client a couple of months back saying, is cost of living still happening? So I've just been in a boardroom, my CEO said it's finished. I'm like, it's not. It is not. So every project we touch on, we've got like a reality first, brand second approach to what we do. So yes, we talk about the brands and what the client needs us to talk about, but we also spend time talking about life, joy, fear, politics, money, daily life. And the cost of living is still there, it's still real. And I was just saying earlier to Tom, one of the things about cost of living is I would start to worry a little bit less about your category competitors, and I'd think more about life competitors. Cost of energy, cost of mortgages going up, that's why people are switching. But I'm not going to talk about any of those things. I'm going to do what I've been programmed never to do as a strategist and as a researcher. I'm going to talk about a personal story. Because we're told in the research industry, we've got to be objective about our findings, we've got to speak to strangers, we've got to have some distance. So I'm going to talk about this woman here. That's my mum, as we say in the Northeast. Family friend on the right, Kimberly, and her beloved Basset Hound on the left. To be more specific, this is my mum in August 1997 at Beamish. And because we had some old VHS tapes digitized recently, oh, is that the correct clip? It might be the wrong clip I've popped in here. But there we go. This is me taking that very photograph in 1997. Terrible fashion sense even then, as I do now. Now, the reason I show this is because we had these digitized recently. About half an hour after I took that photograph, my mum said she felt dizzy, she collapsed, had a massive heart attack and died. 30 minutes after this. I'm not using this as an emotional porn, but really what I'm trying to get across is humanity, and as humans, we're built by our past lived experiences. So how has that impacted me? She was 42 years old when she died, and I'm 47 now, so I'm 5 years older than when she died. It's impacted loads of areas of my life, and my brothers and my dad, who were there on that day. What I put in my body, because we didn't think she was going to die of a heart attack, it was very sudden. Fitness, work-life balance, because part of the reason we think she died was the stress she carried because of work, the kind of holidays that we go on. And that's impacted my brand choices in lots of these areas. So whether it's Asda, Marks and Spencer's, she looked a little expensive top-up at Marks's, whether it's Greg's, whether it's now fitness and my love for data when it comes to fitness, because I need to prove to myself I'm doing something good for my body. If it's not on Strava, it didn't happen. All that kind of thinking. Work-life balance. I was incredibly lucky to be offered an opportunity to move to Singapore for my job, and lived out there for 5.5 years. She always talked about moving abroad and never had the opportunity to do it. Things like, in the top right, parenting. TV existed when she was around, of course it did, but iPads didn't. So I'm going through this thing now with my 7-year-old and my 2-year-old. What's the right amount of iPad time? Do I use that as a crutch? The guilt that parents feel. How would she have helped guide me in those decisions, and also kind of what we show them. And the holidays thing's really interesting because I love an all-inclusive. I love an all-inclusive. If we can afford it once a year, an all-inclusive. Kids love it, I love it, and that's partly because of the nostalgia of the one kind of abroad holiday that I had with her. So her passing is reflected in how I lead my life and how I make my brand choices. And I'm sure I'm not the same. I'm sure you've all got stories, not necessarily about people dying, but people who have made impacts on your lives on a daily basis, on a huge foundational basis. And it's a reality of people's lives. We are messy. We are complex, nuanced, illogical, contradictory, and personal. That is the human condition. People will say they're going to do one thing, they'll do another. They say they're going to do one thing, they'll say something next. I spend hours and afternoons with people, and they contradict themselves in those meetings. That's reality. That's the reality of what we are as human beings. We're messy and we're complicated. But I don't think we reflect that in our work a lot. I think spending 15 years as a strategist and doing what I'm doing now, end up getting sent a lot of this nonsense on the left. Right? And it's disparaging of me to call it nonsense, because segmentations are useful, pen portraits are useful, they're built up from data, but they oversimplify to the point of being offensive to me sometimes, about how people choose what it is they're going to be doing, what their beliefs are, what their brand choices are. And a lot of them miss that texture and nuance on the right of humanity, of real people. So what I'm here to talk about this morning is, yes, we need big data and AI, and everybody uses it and we use it ourselves, but we also need human texture and human nuance. They need to work together. Don't be tempted to replace human beings with purely data and AI, because you will miss stuff. And I think what I'm seeing in the industry is two kinds of agencies, two kinds of brands. One where it's a bit of a race, an arms race, who can do it quicker, who can do it cheaper, using AI, using big data. And then there's a bunch of brands and businesses who are saying, yes, we're using that, but also the importance of human reality needs to play a role within that. But there are some brands and agencies that I'm talking to, and they're cutting out human beings from the loop altogether. And it's only marketing that has this arrogance. There's a huge arrogance when it comes to marketing. Doctors use big data and AI, but they still touch people. They still look into their eyes. They see how they respond to various things. The police look at forensic data, but they walk the streets, they knock on doors, they walk into people's homes, they feel if something feels off. Lawyers use data and AI, but they put people on the stand and they engage with them. They look at their reactions when various things are spoken about. And social workers don't just look at case files. They go into the home, they open the fridge, they feel the cold of the home and what is in that fridge. So they're combining data AI with humanity, and that's what marketing needs to continue to do. And there are amazing businesses doing this. So this is just a quick sample of some of the work that we work on. Saatchi & Saatchi in the top left, what the fuck's going on? Is the name of their series. What the fuck is going on? The second one last year was about the middle classes. Got a lot of backlash from Richard Huntington online. The middle classes? You shouldn't be talking about the middle classes. The middle classes are struggling, hollowed out, no money, and if they disappear, the country, the economy is stuffed. So, really interesting piece with Saatchi & Saatchi. In the top right, equally amazing piece with brilliant clients at WPP Media and Mindshare, Shaping the Nation. An amazing, I think, blend of data and humanity, 10,000 person survey, speaking to experts, and we went the length and breadth of the country speaking to real people about what they feel about community, what they feel about Britishness, what they feel about the nation. A lot of the findings we were unearthing actually informed a lot of the report, so that they then looked at the data and realized they were missing stuff in the data. So the humanity and the data working together. And then at the bottom, we've just finished a one-year study with EE and BT Group, 1 year where we had 7 homes around the UK that reflect their audience segments. We'd physically go and visit them at relevant times, bedtimes, meal times, screen times, kids' play times. And every week we'd have a digital prompted task. What did you think about adolescence? What are you doing this weekend? How are you preparing for Black Friday? What's stressing you out this week? What do you think about the Prime Minister talking about this? So a really good example of data and humanity being blended together. And I guess just to finish off, you're probably going to hear a lot of stuff today about data and AI because that's the industry we're in. And it is essential that we leverage that content, that insight to drive our strategies. But don't lose sight of this. Please don't lose sight of this. I've seen 1 million kitchen cupboards, right, traveling around the UK. I promise you they're all different. There are reasons behind all of the purchasing. What we're finding is the best businesses are the ones that are marrying real human texture with AI and big data. And the best people, you, are the ones that are putting their hands up in meetings saying, I know we've got all of this data, but I think something's missing. I think we need something else just to augment it. Because, just to go back to the original point, we're more than data, right? We're more than AI. We matter. Our thoughts matter. When we go and speak to people, they just want their voices heard. They want to share what it is they're doing, share their thoughts, share their beliefs, share their fears. You know, people matter, and they matter in your strategies, they matter in your brand growth and brand development. And I'm going to leave with a provocation, which I might swear, actually, even though it's early, which is, when it comes to a lot of data that I've seen about brands and people, and what I'm hearing a lot now is brand propositions, business propositions, new pricing, promotions. Businesses are now using big data and AI and just cutting human beings out of that thinking for speed and efficiency readings. If you can't be bothered to speak with real people, why should they give a fuck about your brand? And I mean that because the amount of times I see narcissistic brand research. Do people love our brand? Do people think about our brand? Nobody wakes up thinking about your brand, I guarantee it. Right? It's narcissistic research. If you can't even be bothered to talk to them, why should they care about you? Thank you.